That's the steps to Berlin.
Pascal Feucher, owner of the Urban Spree Gallery, tells us how bankers, trying to give his district a new face, are suffocating art in the heart of Berlin, and how his fight against this movement is supported by international artists and visitors. Pascal has managed to stay fully independent financially, with no city sponsoring or funding, reinvesting revenue into a cultural program that promotes graffiti and urban art free of financial goals or third-party interests.
Okay, Pascal, we're bang in the middle of Berlin. Thanks for having us here.
Pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your concept here.
Well, concept here is to offer like a playground for street artists and graffiti artists. So we have lots of walls to paint, exhibition rooms, bookshop. I would call it a Berlin mix. So we have a beer garden where people can socialize and meet. We have a concert room for like really cutting edge programming, gallery with street art, graffiti, bookshop, and artist studio. So it's a Berlin mix.
Let's talk about the artist, because actually Christoph, we went inside and Christoph, you were quite impressed by the work.
Yes, I'm basically also in the same field of art that you are.
Yeah.
But calligraphity was never like something I had primarily on my focus. I did many art shows, but never ever a show with calligraphity.
Yeah.
And when you told me about the show, I had my pre-assumptions, but I have to admit it blew me away. This was the best calligraphity show that I've ever seen in my life by far. I really have to admit that. And I mean, I have to let it sink for a couple of days, but I think I have to reconsider my view on this field. And then I would like to ask, who did the curation? Was it you or was it one of the artists?
No, it was totally me.
Okay.
I'm actually into this genre since some years. We did some solo shows with some of the artists. My initial goal was to make a global show with artists from the Americas.
Yes.
So basically South and North America. Probably also a bit of Asian.
Yes.
But I narrow it down to European and Mediterranean artists.
Okay.
Because of Corona, because of the space and so, I realized soon that it was a more ambitious show than I thought it would be. Also, the circumstances were actually paradoxically great. Like El Cid, who's one of the big names of the show, is very, very busy. You know, probably in normal circumstances, he wouldn't have the occasion to provide some works for the show.
Amazing.
Maybe, you know, maybe it would have worked too. But and then the lineup is like, it's. Other artists see the plan and understand and say, oh, I want to be here. Like,
how many artists are there?
So we have 10 artists, nine visual artists and one photographer.
Okay, Pascal, coordinating 10 artists in one exhibition, that's not too easy, right?
Yeah, mostly now with the pandemic situation. Some artists, I mean, everything is complicated. Like delays in transport, custom delays, lots of uncertainties, lots of personal agenda. It makes things more complicated, but it's a risk worth taking, because if you make a solo show, it's a huge risk for the single artist you have selected. He puts his 1 year of work on the table and nothing happens because of the pandemic. That's not a good situation, so I wanted to kick off the season with a group show where you ask each artist a few works.
So how many artists actually came here to work?
So out of the 10 artists, we have 4 who are from Berlin. So it's a bit of a local edge as well. So they work in the studio. And I had 2 residencies, like mini residencies. Once with Niels Schuh-Mellmann, so called at Schuh, who came from Amsterdam for 2 weeks to produce half of the works of the show. The rest he brought with him. So I like this because we already have an exchange. For the artist, he can see the situation of the place, the ecosystem, the gallery. It's a personal feeling and exchange. And for me, it's hyper satisfying to talk to an artist, to have him here, to welcome him, and because we can discuss and I can see the work in progress, and it's always very nice. And the second one was Suffocating from Poland, from Krakow. So he came here with most of his works, but he insisted to make some big pieces right in the studio here. So I have a studio upstairs that's always free for artists. So they come to finish a show or to create a whole show. And that's something that would be hard to not to do in the future. I really like that.
Give us a scope with the timing. I mean, from when the idea is born, right, all the way through with the organization to the end when the exhibition comes up, what kind of time frame are we talking about?
Yeah, usually I'm more a kind of spontaneous guy. So I don't make plans 2 years in advance or even 1 year in advance. Most galleries do that. They have a forecasting agenda and they know what they're going to do in 2 years. I don't really know what I'm going to do in 6 months. And I really love to do residencies. So I invite an artist from LA or Australia to spend a month here and produce works. And because we are working with graffiti artists, street artists, speed is part of their process. So we're not talking about oil painters that would take like 6 months to make 2 paintings.
And over the years, do you have the feeling that your reputation when it comes to the artists has become better?
Yeah, I think so. It's of course a virtuous circle.
Yes.
Like the more you do good things,
Yes.
the more better things are coming
Because
on the corner.
From the outside, like from Hamburg, it's really like that. A couple of years ago, you had been one of plenty, and now, at least in this field, you're the only one that I can take seriously. But not only because the others are weak, which is also a thing, but you really have become really strong and important, you know. But I mean, you have been doing fantastic work, and basically you have been working continuously. I mean, you never stopped, you never left.
No, we're always on the run, and I think we're both kind of similar. Like we're not chasing the top guys. Our philosophy is not to build a trophy.
Yeah.
It's to work with, I would say, mid-career. I don't know if
Yeah,
that term is
definitely.
correct,
This
but
is what we were just
or
talking
emerging
about.
plus artists that we like.
Yes.
So after this one, I'm working with Evol and Eggs
Yeah.
from Helsinki.
Oh, I already worked with
I know you did. Yeah.
hello.
I love
me too.
what he does. I love his glass sculptures.
Yes.
The fan talks, you know. I'm a fan first and foremost. So I want to show and work and interact with people I like. There's no point of chasing a top-selling guy. I don't want that.
But there's also a business issue to the whole thing, right?
I got it, but our structure is made in a way that we have some commercial activities like the Biergarten, and to some extent the concert room. It's also passion business. So
Okay.
I don't know we make a lot of money on the concert room, but Biergarten works. So this funds our cultural activities. We don't depend on sponsors. We are luckily very much unbranded.
Yeah, I think this is always very important that you have some independency, you know, because this market
Yeah.
goes up and down, and if you're really forced to make a lot of money all the time, which many people are, then it can sometimes make your business even more difficult.
Yes, yeah.
And how do you find the pricing with the artists? How does it go?
Well, artists have a certain history of pricing, so we just follow and adjust. The artworks we have, in this show, for example, we have different kind of artists in different situation of their careers. So some like Sicoware are more starting and have like lower prices, and some like Shoe or LC are quite more expensive.
How much percent of your sales you do online to customers that never have seen the artwork when purchasing?
Yeah, of course, each case is different, but This is just starting, so we haven't really
Yeah.
released the catalog yet. But the last show we did, I think it was like probably 80% online.
80 already. That's a lot.
Because this can be a bit deceptive as well.
So
Like,
you don't need your gallery space anymore.
It's fundamental to have it.
Yes.
Now there's a lot of talk about this NFT craze, you know,
Yeah.
like online, digital, pure native stuff. That's also cool, but for me the salt of this adventure is to show and see the things and talk to the artist. I mean, we're not so well known that I can say, hey, can I buy your works and just show them online and try to make a buck online?
Yeah, yeah.
What they will tell me, yeah, I can do it myself, right?
Yes.
And like, yeah, but at some point I consider that that could have been a transition towards like nomad galleries, as we say. But in reality, artists are actually requesting physical space.
I see it 100% like you.
Totally, they want.
I agree totally.
We've picked this space for the interview for a special reason.
Yeah, hopefully we can see the creator of this toucan.
Oh yeah,
It's Bordello 2.
Bordello too. That's
Okay,
right.
I think he hasn't heard about Slug yet, but
It will.
before he can see this, I will have copped him a mail and hopefully we can convince him talking to us.
Yeah, and I'm super happy because this thing was absolutely, let's say, non-really organized. Bordello come to this team and say, hey, I'm looking for a space to make it work, to place an artwork. I don't know what, but I want to do it. Sure, man, you know, like, hey, great, like. And they say, okay. So it starts the process, yeah.
Very last question, what is your next show going to be? Oh, you said Evo.
Yeah, it's going to be Evol.
Yes.
So the Berlin artist doing very exquisite stencil architecture motifs on
solo
cardboard. It's going to be a solo show, and I think it's going to be his first since a while. Oh, you're welcome.
It was a really nice interview.
My pleasure.